When it comes to issues facing cattlemen in our nation's capital, you'll be pleased to know that many of the staff of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association grew up on farms and ranches across our country. One of those staffers is Kristina Butts. Let's learn more about this talented member of NCBA's team.
I'm originally from a small town in south of Texas, south of Houston, known as Pearland, Texas. And it was small when my family first moved there. My great-grandfather was one of the first families to settle in Pearland. And that's kind of how we got started in the beef business, was through the dairy business first. And I'm the third generation of my family to graduate from Pearland High School. I received my first show steer when I was 8 years old as a gift from my grandfather. It was a registered Angus steer. It was the meanest steer that I ever had in my 12 years of showing. But I think that I cried the most whenever I had to sell him, even though he was so mean to me. Growing up in the beef industry, I've always had a strong passion for the beef industry, and that started at a very young age with my family. And I was very fortunate to participate in a lot of programs through 4-H and FFA, but probably the most remarkable program that I participated in was the Beef Ambassador program that was funded and sponsored by the American National Cattlemen's Association. And I was lucky enough to be the Texas Beef Ambassador way back in 1996. And that year I placed second at the national competition. And how the program was structured then, the winner was the one who traveled. But she happened to be a freshman in college, so she couldn't travel. So I had the opportunity to travel in her absence. And I spent most of my senior year outside of the classroom, traveling, representing the beef industry with the Texas Cattlemen's, going all over the U.S. from New York to Washington State to Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, talking to education classrooms, talking to school leaders, talking to anybody that would really kind of listen to us talk about the beef industry. And after I went to school, I decided I wanted to go to school at Texas Tech University and have 2 degrees in agricultural communications with a minor in animal science and then a master's in animal and food sciences with a focus on food safety. The best part about my job is talking to our producers, being able to pick up the phone, to call them, obviously reading the policies that they put forward, but then calling them to say, this is happening, this is what the policy says, do you have a real life experience that I can share here in DC? And I think government involvement, with it changing so much, probably not in a favorable light, especially to cattle producers, has gotten more in agriculture, more engaged in talking about what we do. I just think that if someone hasn't taken the opportunity to get engaged in the federal policies of what's happening here in Washington, D.C., because the simple fact is that everything that Congress is discussing has a direct impact on your life, whether you realize it or not at this point, on the taxes that you're able to pay, on your choices for health care, on what the environmental situation looks like, on food safety, on how we raise our animals. So if you've not been engaged because you think D.C. is so far away and it isn't going to impact you, you couldn't be more wrong. And this is an opportunity in a time when the only industry that continues to grow is the federal government. They continue to add jobs and there continue to be more regulations coming out every single month from this administration. And so I think if you haven't had the opportunity to get engaged, go to NCBA's website, beefusa.org, sign up for CapWiz alerts that we send out that allow members and anybody interested, even if you're not an NCBA member, but you're just curious about what's going on that impacts the beef industry, sign up and we'll be happy to keep you in the loop about what's going on and how you can engage here in DC.
Support the work of Kristina and her colleagues at the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Join us today. It's easy to do. Just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit us at beefusa.org. We'll be right back.